Yes, you got me. Great. Hey, thanks for the hookup.
I'm calling this meeting to order. It's Monday, March 10th, and this is the regular board session for the month of March. At this time, I'm requesting a motion for the approval of the agenda. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay. Have a motion by Mr. Shuford, a second by Mr. Baker for the approval of the agenda. Is there any further discussion from the board? Okay, I'd also like to make everyone aware of the fact that Mr. Abernathy is feeling well under the weather, and thank goodness he's not here, because I've done had the flu one time this year, and I sure don't want it again. But he is live with us, and Mr. Berryhill, can he hear us okay? And Mr. Abernathy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you real clear. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we're getting ready to vote on the approval of the agenda, and at this time, I'm asking for a vote on the approval of the agenda. And if you approve of the agenda, signify by raising your right hand. And Mr. Abernathy, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay, so that's a unanimous vote. Okay, at this time, we will have an invocation. I invite you all to join with us or engage in a moment of silent reflection. And I also like to add, if you want to, you're also free to leave while we do this. And at this time, I'm asking Mr. McGinnis to lead us in our invocation.
Our Lord God, we bow our heads before you, Lord God, asking that you would bless the efforts of this board to direct the county, to conduct the business of the county, Lord. And we just ask that you give us guidance and wisdom to do these things. We ask, Lord God, for each of the teachers and students, that you'd be with them and protect them throughout their school day, that you'd help us to be the best education environment that we could possibly be. And Lord, that we would dispense with this business for the citizens of this county in a way that is appropriate, that will make a lasting impact and a difference long after our kids go across the stage. I pray this in Christ's name and for his sake. Amen.
Okay, at this time, it's always customary when they're available is to have our color presentation by the NJROTC. And Mr. Baker, if you would, I would like for you to introduce them to us.
I'd like to stand for them because Master Chief is here with some of the sharpest cadets that there is in the world. They're a great example to us and what we need young men and women like this in our country. And at this time, they will present the colors, and then we'll have the pledge. And then Master Chief Crossan will give us an update on some things that they have accomplished and things that's going to happen. So at this time, it's yours, young men.
Colors. Halt. Right. Haste. Present. Colors. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Colors. Ready. Cut. Host. Ready. Cut. Host. Right. Haste. Horde. Colors. Hope. Heard. Arch.
Brought my crib notes. Board President, board members, distinguished guests, folks from the county, also my boss, the principal, McDowell High School, distinguished guests, everyone, thank you for this brief moment in time. Dr. Grid as well, my apologies if I skipped you, sir. Just a real quick review of what we've accomplished so far this year. The NJROTC rifle team completed the Secretary of the Navy Postal, and our A team qualified for Navy Nationals. That's kind of a big deal. Then we went to our area qualifier and championship, and we placed both second and third place, and that allowed our B team to qualify for the Navy Nationals. We traveled to the Navy Nationals recently in February, where we achieved fourth place overall. Although fourth place doesn't sound like a win, I want to describe that to you. There are 4,000 schools in the JROTC program, and of those 4,000 schools, there were well over 400 competitors at the top of the nation competing at those nationals, and we placed fourth. Thank you very much. Within that also allowed us an invitation to the all-service nationals. So it's a joint service, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard, which we will be traveling to shortly at the third week of this month to compete as well. I foresee we'll do rather well. I don't want to say more than that because I don't want to jinx us. But that's being held in Ohio, and First Sergeant Miley will lead that team up there for that competition. Our drill team this year competed in the Area 8 qualifier, where we won first place across the board with the exception of a second place academic finish. So overall, it was almost a clean sweep. We almost got there, but that's okay. And then we progressed on to the area championships, where we placed second overall, again, among 3 states worth of competitors. So that's North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. We placed second place overall. Unfortunately, first place team only proceeds on to the Navy Nationals. But again, I know our cadets were super proud, and we hadn't achieved that for a little bit of time, so we were proud to bring home a second place finish because it had been a little bit. We also went on to an academic team. We fielded an academic team this year. We hadn't done that for quite a while. We did that, and we went to the Area 8 championships, where the top 16 teams across those 3 states competed. And there we made it to the Elite 8, and unfortunately we placed 5th, so we didn't make it to the Final 4. But again, a great showing for our first time out in a while, so I'm super proud of the cadets there as well. And I'm sure you are as well. We also, last week, took the the Navy National Academic Exam. I'm sure we did well, but we don't have the results yet. When the results come, I'm not shy of sharing that, and that'll come up through Principal Bennett, because she's not shy either. She's one of our great champions, and we appreciate that, ma'am. Our drone team, due to the hurricane, we did have some of our teams displaced from their normal competitions, as I'm sure everyone in our community understands. It was a tough time for everyone. I know we also came together. I'll brag about that in a minute. But our drone team was unable to compete because that's right around the hurricane time was when those competitions kick off. Some states joined us in not being able to participate as well. But having said that, we actually have an unsanctioned drill meet this Saturday at Pisgah High School, where our former teammate here at McDowell High School, Chief Campbell, is, and he extended an invite because he's a team member and wanted to make sure we brought a drone team. So we're doing that this coming Saturday. We also had an orienteering team go to RS Central Super Squad, where we placed 3rd. That's athletics, academics, and it's a Marine Corps course. It's a little tough, so we were pretty proud of 3rd place. Our 4th place competitor was over 43 minutes behind us. That's how well we solidified our 3rd place. We were 37 seconds from 2nd place. Not that anyone's counting. But because of those displaced events, should be on the agenda for tonight. We do have a proposal that will help make up some of our inability to compete that was impacted by the hurricane, and we've requested that the board consider a lock-in style event. This will allow our cadets that normally don't travel with our teams to also experience those unique opportunities that we have when we do travel to these functions. And so as a result of that, we've asked the board for their consideration. I have no doubt they'll consider it, and if they have questions, luckily somebody will be around to answer the questions. Additionally, while I'm going down the list, we also have a significant opportunity in front of us as well, and I know we're all excited about it. I know we are. Is that toward the spring, we're compiling. I'm not asking permission yet. I'm just briefing it briefly. We're looking at the potential of staying on a night on a Navy ship, and as such, our cadets that will get the opportunity to participate in that will actually get a little bit of real shipboard life. It's docked. It doesn't move. just to make sure everyone's aware. But they will sleep in actual Navy berthing areas. We'll actually cook for them Navy style, and we'll also have some Navy PT for them. And I know we'll show out and we'll do a great job there. That being said, again, that's all I have for the board. Again, thank you for the time. I appreciate it. I wanted to be quick. And thank you for the community that supports us as well. Oh, I almost forgot one last one. Little Miss McDowell. We just completed Little Miss McDowell Saturday night. We had a great time. First time in a few years that, and it's not about profit, but we were able to not lose money. So we were pretty happy about that. And you should have seen it. If you've not been to Little Miss McDowell, I'd encourage you to go in the future years. We had 11 phenomenal contestants. They did a great job. And then, of course, our former Miss McDowell was there as well. We had a whole bunch of community support. But again, we just completed that. I'm super proud, and I hope you guys are too. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. At this time, item number 5 on the agenda is superintendent remarks, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Gritt.
All right, folks. Appreciate everybody being out there with us today. To start this off, I'm going to do things a little differently. I had been working on a piece for the paper, and I thought maybe it would be appropriate if I just read it tonight, given the folks that we've got in attendance. So I'm going to share this article with you. This is part of our Note from School series, and I entitled it "Hard Work Pays Off." Over the last couple of weeks, our Titan athletes have been on a journey that will be talked about for generations to come. Kicking off the month, Hayden Haynes brought home the gold medal from the state wrestling tournament, a dream of his for the past 4 years. Those of us who know Hayden know that his relentless work ethic, determination, and athletic ability are why he stood atop the state for the 215-pound weight class, 4A. Another example of putting in the work this season is the men's Titans basketball team, who made their way to the second round of the state playoffs in a loss to Julius Chambers, arguably one of the most talented teams in the state. Despite our loss, the Titans' work ethic stood out as they held their own, pushing the Chambers team deep into the fourth quarter of the game. Losing is never easy, especially when you put in the hours of work to reach a goal, but the loss drives our hunger and pushes us to work even harder. Another shining example of working hard this year is a story of perseverance and endurance, best told by the sellout crowds over the last several weeks as our undefeated Lady Titans basketball team continue a storybook season in a quest for a state title. Our Lady Titans displayed an unstoppable work ethic and a tenacious defense that put fear into any teams watching our films. Hard work pays off. This is a statement that I would argue is often heard in the homes of many of our students, and it's evident in our community. Let's take this school year back to September the 27th, 2024, when Hurricane Helene devastated our county. Remember the teamwork, compassion, and perseverance we witnessed as every person that could help seemed to be actively doing their part to get us back on track. Work ethic defines the community, and as we watched our student athletes this winter, they embraced the drive and wore it like a badge of honor. Ball teams, wrestlers, NJROTC members, band, and other club members continuously displayed resilience and determination that would make anyone who is watching the momentum of this great season proud. Coach MacArthur, Coach Davis, and Coach Franklin held the bar high for our student athletes, met them with compassion, and cared for them to a successful season. The odds are stacked against after a hurricane. I'm sure there were days when our student athletes didn't believe in themselves or had an off day, but the inspiration of the community's perseverance and belief that they can overcome obstacles gave them a shining example of how to push forward. And on Friday night, March 7th, for those in attendance, we had the privilege of watching a team punch their ticket to the Final Four of the state playoffs. As we pass the torch to the next generation, I could not be more proud of how our Titans put the community on their backs and carried our community, providing us with a step away from the responsibilities and recovery, cleanup, providing a glimpse into the power of the game and sport. Win or lose, never giving up, never quitting, and pushing through is what has powered our great nation from its inception. And I am here to tell you, in McDowell County, we have students preparing every day to take leading roles and do great things in our future. Thank you for supporting all of our student athletes, band member, NJROTC members, and clubs this year. Tonight, we have some special things for you tonight. Tonight, we have our DECA Club winners. Hayden Haynes, our wrestler, state championship wrestler, and our amazing shake winners here to be recognized. In addition, I want to remind the board that the NJROTC, and we just heard, will be vying for another national level competition at the end of the month. Tonight, we also want to recognize the marching band who delivered a stellar performance at the Blue Ridge Music Performance on March 5th, earning a rating of excellent, the second highest score you can receive. It is a great time to be a Titan, and I'm very proud of our students and our student athletes. We will get behind when we get behind our students, they will remind us that hard work does pay off. Thank you.
If you'll continue on, sir.
Yes, sir.
Item number 6 is student recognitions.
All right, at this time, we'll begin our student recognitions. All right, we're going to start with our student recognitions. This is Mr. Hayden Haynes, North Carolina High School Athletic Association 2025 State Wrestling Champion. Hayden, we're very proud of you. I want to talk just a few minutes before you just stand right there in the middle like we made you do at the basketball game. He's kind of used to it at this point. Folks, Hayden didn't give a single takedown up during the state championship wrestling tournament. As a former wrestler, that is a significant feat. I'm very proud of you. Hayden is also committed to wrestle at Appalachian State. I noticed he wore his block A. He's trying to get some credit with me. It's working, so I certainly appreciate it. But we are so proud of you, Hayden. And I know that your mom and dad here, your coach here, but if you look behind you, Hayden, we've got a few shirts here just recognizing this feat. It's not every day that you bring home a state championship. We're very, very proud of you. Congratulations. Next, we'll have our amazing shake winners. Ms. Finley.
Good evening. It's always a pleasure to stand before you and recognize the great things that our students participate and win at. Carson Buchanan and Sydney Stafford were chosen as our top 2 winners at this year's Amazing Shake competition that was held on Friday, February the 21st. They experienced an intense day beginning with the first round called the Gauntlet, in which they rotated through 32 stations, having 60 seconds to respond to each scenario. In the second round, called Work the Room, the students had to greet professionals and converse professionally. In the third round, the Ethics round, students had to respond to ethical questions with our Superintendent, Dr. Gritt, police officers, sheriff's deputies, and other McDowell County Schools employees. In the last round, the top 4 students worked a shift at McDowell Local, a restaurant on Main Street. They worked in the front and back of the house. The employees of McDowell Local chose the winners. So we want to recognize Mr. Carson Buchanan and Sydney Stafford. Sydney is at a ball game. I also want to recognize Ms. Mindy Hutchins for coordinating this event every year and preparing the students. So, Ms. Hutchins. These students and Mrs. Hutchins will travel to the Ron Clark Academy in Atlanta, Georgia, March the 27th through 30th for the global competition. Next, we will recognize our DECA winners. They represented us well in Greensboro, February the 27th through March the 1st. 6 brought home DECA medals, and 2 of them are advancing on to internationals. First, Bailey Moss and Ralph Biddix. They were top qualifiers in the Virtual Business Challenge. These two will advance to the international competition in April in Orlando, Florida. Second, we will recognize Morgan Henley and Alyssa Hemphill. Top role play medal. They received a top role play medal for sports and entertainment marketing team decision making. Third, Smith Owens. Top role play medal for sports and entertainment marketing. And fourth, Brady Tipper. Brady had a top role play 1 medal and top role play 2 medal for sports and entertainment marketing. Our amazing advisors are Ms. Heather Martin and Mr. Todd Queen. They put in countless hours to make sure that these students are successful. Congratulations.
And next up, we have a few staff recognitions. This first one, I'm going to do you the same way I did Hayden, so just come on up and stand in the center, Miss Rampy. I know you love it. One of our very own. We're very proud of Miss Rampy. This is a board recognition for the 2025 NC ASBO, North Carolina. That's the North Carolina Association of School Business Officials Emerging Leader. I'm going to tell you about Miss Rampy and what that means. Ms. Rampy joined McDowell County Schools as the Chief Financial Officer in 2006. She's been an active member of NASBO since 2006 and currently serves as Executive Council as a Region 8 representative. She is also a graduate of the NASBO School Business Management Academy and a Certified School Business Director. That's a mouthful. I say that to say she keeps up with our finances. She does an excellent job of that, to the point that they have recognized her in the Southeast of being one of the best in the Southeast. It's quite a feat. As NASBO's emerging leader, Suzanne will represent North Carolina in the Southeastern Association of School Business Officials Emerging Leadership Program. This opportunity will allow her to participate among 12 southern states in developing innovative ideas for professional development and strategic planning for public school finance. And our DECA students who just stepped out, this is what it looks like all grown up. So congratulations, Miss Rampy.
Good evening, Mr. Frank, Dr. Grit, members of the board, and members of our esteemed audience. I am Amy Daddle. I'm Executive Director of Human Resources, and I'm honored to be able to recognize our next two individuals. I will give credit where credit is due, but when Mr. Marsh joined our team, one thing that he brought up was about Employee of the Month. Our employees do such outstanding work, and we do honor an IA of the Year, and we do honor a Teacher of the Year, but our staff does good work throughout the year and through all different departments. So we came up with guidelines for our Employee of the Month. And so we will start having a certified and a classified Employee of the Month that we will recognize at our board meetings. And so our first Employee of the Month is our certified position, and that's Miss Nikki Holland. So, Miss Holland, if you'll come on up here while I read about you. So just to tell you a little bit about Ms. Holland has been instrumental in supporting the full implementation of guiding principles from NCDPI for honors coursework. She has provided 5 embedded PD sessions, met with honors coursework teachers, and helped them with the required template that documents specific artifacts of acceleration, enrichment, depth of complexity, and extension. She has also helped organize and facilitate a district-level committee that reviews the submitted templates and provides critical feedback and affirmations. McDowell County Schools will be able to attest with full confidence the honors level coursework at our high school thanks to the incredible legwork of Miss Nikki Holland. On a personal note, Miss Holland and I grew up together. And was one of my closest friends growing up, and I can attest to her care and compassion for the students that she teaches each and every day when she was in the classroom, and even now as our AIG specialist in the county, all the hard work that she does, and I personally could not be more proud of you, Miss Holland, so congratulations. I could tell other stories, but I won't, Miss Holland. Next up is our classified Employee of the Month. So School Nutrition Manager Angela Leon, affectionately known as Miss Angie, come on up. Miss Angie consistently demonstrates unwavering dedication to the students and staff at Glenwood Elementary, going above and beyond in every aspect of her role as a school nutrition professional. One of Angela's most memorable acts of service occurred during the hurricane recovery when she opened the Glenwood Elementary kitchen to serve emergency workers and community shelters. Despite facing her own personal hardship, having no power or water at home, the self-processed dry shampoo expert remained committed to providing meals to those in need. Her selfless and devotion to her community during a crisis exemplify the exceptional character. Angela's dedication to her job is obvious. She and her team have achieved a remarkable high participation rate at Glenwood, serving nearly the same number of breakfast meals in the hall as they do lunches in the cafeteria. So far this school year, Miss Angie and her dedicated staff have served almost 55,000 meals while maintaining a perfect sanitation score of 100 across the past 9 inspections. Throughout all of these accolades, she has strictly adhered to all federal and state regulations as required under the USDA's National School Lunch and Breakfast Programs. Miss Angie has an outstanding attendance record, rarely missing work, and she hasn't taken a sick day in over 3 years. She has been the assistant manager or manager at Glenwood Elementary for nearly 6 years, previously managing at North Cove and working at West McDowell Middle School. Her years of experience and leadership have had a significant positive impact on her team, school staff, and the students she serves. In addition to her daily responsibilities, Miss Angie and her team go the extra mile to create a welcoming and festive environment for the students. They decorate the cafeteria for every occasion, Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and more, making it bright and cheerful place. Miss Angie's strong work ethic extends beyond the school walls. She also works a separate part-time job, logging an additional 24 hours a week, including nights, weekends, and holidays. This dedication is a testament to her incredible work ethic. Miss Angie is truly a joy to be around. She always has a smile on her face, a positive attitude, and warm spirit. Even on her toughest day, she brings energy, kindness, and encouragement to those around her. She has built strong relationships with both staff and students, and her genuine care for others shines through everything she does. I'd like to add to that when I called Miss Angie to let her know. I called her at work. And she busted out in tears, and she said, "But it's my team." And that's the tale of someone who was truly humble. And I couldn't be more thankful for you, and it's a well-deserved honor, Miss Angie. Congratulations.
Item number 8 on the agenda is a report from our teacher representative, Mr. Joy Hill. Mr. Hill, I want to say this. I really missed you last month. I know you were under the weather, and you're going to roar for us for the Lions, and you're going to give a growl for the Bears. And I have something here that if you would show that Nebo Elementary sent us, I'd appreciate it as you do your presentation. And thank you, sir.
I was not expecting to do a small episode of Call of the Wild tonight, but I will if that is what is required of me, and I'm very glad to be back, I promise you.
Yes,
Much
sir.
happier here than I was there. Hayden, I was really hoping that she would get up and leave so I could say, "Hayden, sit down," and what you do. I love this job. And while I'm up here, I just want to say for the record, I'm Hayden's senior English teacher, and in addition to being an amazing athlete, you could not ask for a better student who's not just smart. Hayden, don't you get all vain about this. He possesses true intellectual curiosity, and even among a lot of the smart kids, that's a rare find. And I'm going to take a point of personal privilege and applaud you again. You still got plenty of time to mess up. All right. All right. Don't forget that. All right. Let's start with the Lions Roar, shall we? With North Cove Elementary. Here we see pictures of joy to the Carolinas. The Carolina Panthers and Coca-Cola Consolidated brought lots of joy and excitement to North Cove in December. They also helped with some campus cleanup and made I'm hoping this is not a typo, a $40,000 donation to fund a brand new playground for North Cove students. I guess I will be drinking Coke in the near future. All right. Here we see our holiday bazaar. The North Coast second annual holiday bazaar brought together families and community for fun games, inflatables, vendors, food trucks, and more, and all proceeds benefited those in need in our community with the North Cove Strong Fund. We have NCE, North Cove Elementary Roar visits. We brought the Roar celebration, R-O-A-R, Roar celebration to our students' families with our personalized Roar home visits. Students receiving the celebration visit embody our North Cove Roar, which stands for responsible, on task, awesome attitude, and respectful and caring. The student's family received a yard sign recognizing their student. We had bubble confetti, a certificate, and teachers and staff cheering each student as we celebrated together at their home. I thought this was a typo too. It's not. North Cove welcomed this is the typo, class of 2038 recently. I'm going to say that again. North Cove welcomed the class of 2038 recently. I would like to say for the record that if I teach that class in senior English, something will have gone terribly, terribly wrong. Rising kindergartners had the opportunity to sign their certificate of future North Cove Elementary kindergartner at our NCE signing table. Rising kinders had the opportunity to ride the bus, visit the kindergarten wing, listen to his story, and participate in PE activities. So let's give a great big roar for North Cove Elementary. All right, had to make sure that we right one. Okay. Now let's hear from Nebo. Aw. Bear and cub. That's so sweet. All right. So, begin with after-school clubs. Mrs. Wyatt and our PE teacher and Mrs. Grant, our art and music teacher, host a variety of after-school clubs throughout the school year. So far, we've had Dulcimer Club, Archery Club, and the Jump Rope Club. I would imagine that those three things would make a deadly combination. We are getting ready to start Bears on Track, which is a chorus club and an art club. All right. The Kids Heart Challenge. NEBO's 21 years sponsoring the American Heart Association. NEBO's had 21 years supporting the American Heart Association. This year, they raised $1,906.46. The month ended with dress-up days and an assembly to highlight the Jump Rope Club and grade-level dances. On the 100th day of school, we celebrated with many fun activities and a lot of grandmas and grandpas. This is the Winter Wonderland. Nebo celebrated the holidays with its annual Winter Wonderland celebration. Mr. and Mrs. Claus made an appearance and handed out books to students. The talent show winners, Freya and Keaton represented Nebo well in the County Talent Show. Freya, aka Dolly, and I do hope she's in the Dulcimer Club, as Dolly plays a mean dulcimer, as we all know. Freya, aka Dolly, brought home second place in the elementary school division, singing "Workin' 9 to 5." I wish that I had been there to see that. All right. Nebo honored our veterans with a program. Each grade level performed a patriotic song that they had learned in Mrs. Grant's art and music class. We had a great turnout from local veterans. Here we have ELISS after-school tutoring. Nebo has after-school tutoring Monday through Thursday through the ELISS grant. They have 2 staff members on campus from the YMCA to support the after-school program. Our SRO, Jack Googe, presents the TIMS program to our 5th graders at the end of February. The program is designed to inform students about the importance of safety and awareness surrounding bullying, substance, and physical abuse. Nebo kicked off the One Book, One School on Monday, March 3rd. This year, everyone is reading Dick King Smith's The Water Horse. Teachers started dropping hints on the title the week before with displays of the different scenes from the book. Families will read the story each night with their children. Students will participate in daily trivia and vocabulary acquisition. Families will also create projects that will be displayed at NEBO's annual Blooming Arts Day. And we have, as you pointed out, brought to my attention, a thank you. Oh, wow. Okay. Channel my inner elementary school teacher. We have School Board, thank you for all you do for our county, school, students, and staff. Love, I suppose this is a kind of bear hug, the Nebo Bears.
Mr. Hill, I appreciate your way of presenting your program, and I especially thank you that you put so much enthusiasm in our elementary schools. I wish they were here to see it in person. Thank you, sir. At this time, item number 9 on the agenda is a request to address the board, and do we have any, ma'am? Okay. And item number 10 on the agenda is unfinished business, and we'll start off with our facilities update with Mr. Chad Marsh, and I'll let you handle this.
Bye-bye. Yes, sir. Mr. Marsh, I don't know what that says when they all clear out before you stand up here.
I'm not gonna lie, I like it.
We're glad
I'm
to
okay
have
with
you.
that. If anybody else wants to leave, sir, they can follow suit.
Yes,
It's
sir.
all right.
Take it away.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, Dr. Gritt, and ladies and gentlemen in attendance, thank you for the opportunity to come before the board again tonight. We will focus on Old Fort, sir, and our updates there. As presented in the board packet, I tried just to really talk about what has it's been done that's different. But I'll also, in speaking about Old Fort, I'll start out by talking about Pleasant Gardens as we have the consortium of sorts there. Since our last meeting, our personnel and administrators, members of the board, as you well know, you toured spaces that were used by both schools several times since our meeting. It was very much appreciated, and I certainly know some of our custodial staff and our lunchroom staff appreciated seeing folks there. Evaluation of the where from having nearly twice as many students and faculty of the actual building will be ongoing as we discuss and continue to make plans to make remediation there. We worked with our county sheriff's office. We appreciate our law enforcement partners to evaluate the morning traffic pattern as it has also doubled. It's been a concern to ensure that we are working to be as flexible. And I want to thank our faculty and staff from Old Fort and Pleasant Gardens who jumped right up and said, okay, we'll show up early. We'll open up the doors early. We'll allow parents to drop their children off early. So just another examples of our teachers stepping up and doing what's needed to be done of them. We appreciate their efforts. On to Old Fort, our HVAC systems, as we discussed earlier, one of the things that we're doing just this week is I am meeting with a couple different engineering groups. I've requested information from the original architect way back from my time on the board when we had a discussion with Holland and Hamrick out of Shelby to come up and work with us and bring an HVAC engineer as well as a structural engineer and a environmental engineer to come up and just give us a couple feel goods about what it is that we have on hand. So again, check the building, check the soils and the sediments around the building, and then to do just an EQ test of what's inside and let us know how everything stands prior to allowing teachers and students back in the building. Bill 4 continues to work on carpet, and I'll show you some pictures here in just a little bit, but Garrett, if you can just roll up a little bit. So the top was the mud. The bottom right-hand corner was me taking a picture of the exact same space last week. So this shows the progress that's been made since then. Some of the flooring from the time that the board was in there, you'll note that now the majority of the base trim has been put down and the flooring's been put down. Garrett, go on to the next slide, please, sir. This shows, again, some of the classrooms, but on down. We'll show some of the paint work that's been done. So walls, our base trim has been laid in. All the walls have been repainted. I want to brag on my staff for a moment. They have used over 65 gallons of paint and repainting 22 classrooms and hallways leading from the main office to the media center. Go ahead, Mr. Berryhill. You can see some of the original artwork that was there that was is vibrant, no issues with that, so we're going to leave it. And so you see the hallway now where the base trim goes down all the way both sides of the hallway. And this is the picture on the bottom is a picture of the front area. And what you can see if up against the doors going down, Garrett, is this. So this is the front entryway. This is carpet that has been covered so that the traffic coming in and out of the doors has been covered so we can maintain that. This piece of carpet that you're seeing has not been covered because those doors remain locked. So nobody's coming right in on top of that. That's why that one's not covered and the rest of them are. Again, the work on reshaping the creek bank and removing the debris on the exterior has been completed. Again, some of the removal of silt that had to be done by hand is ongoing, and grass has been sown. I was talking with the principal this morning of Old Fort, and she was noting about how she went there last week and saw some of the grass had been sown. Of course, the wind, our March winds didn't cooperate very well, but we're going to make it continue to resow as much as we need to until we can get it to take, and we'll go from there. And then finally, had a discussion with our custodian about some of the needs that he felt he might have there, so we can go ahead and start planning for what was washed away, because as the board will remember, the entire outbuilding that was on the exterior is gone. And so that included mowers and weed eaters and other equipment, so that's no longer on the site. So we'll work on continuing to replace those on down the line, and so we can ensure that we have what we need to be successful. So you can just scroll on some of those pictures. This is out the back windows to show some of the work. This is some of the pictures I was talking to you about from the back, where you can see the playground equipment and the grass had been sown. It's been blown around. Also on the note of the playground equipment, you know, from my untrained eye, it did not appear to be any structural damage present when I looked at it. Primarily, when you look at things like you're looking at structure, you're looking at foundational pieces, and I didn't see anything. But we'll get through that as we continue to pressure wash and peel back those subtle layers. You can go ahead, Garrett. This just shows you how much work was done there. You can see how everything's been graded and smoothed off. But you know, one of the questions that was asked of one of the county commissioners that was there was about access. And so you can see, just, you know, by virtue of the amount of water and the, you know, velocity that it flew down the back of the creek there, that pushed off a lot of the natural growth that kept people from being able to access the creek. So there is, you know, on the weekends, if a family goes out or individuals are walking on the track, there's going to be certainly easier to get to. The opposite side of that is the teachers are going to have their hands full keeping little Chad out of the creek. So we'll have to make sure we keep up with that as well. But that's just boys and water, right? So we'll just have to keep up with that. Garrett, is there any more? Awesome. Okay. And sir, that completes my update.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Do we have any board members have any questions for Mr. Marsh? Mr. Marsh, we appreciate you.
Thanks, sir.
Next up, we've got Ms. Rampy. She'll be giving us a financial update.
Just a second. All right, tonight for our finance update, we're going to have 3 or 4 actually items. One is our banking update. Basically, that's just an update that we are in process to changing to First Bank. We notified you a couple months ago of the decision to move from First Citizens to First Bank, and we are in the process of that. A couple of our schools are going to go, well, actually, they're starting this month, and then some of our accounts will go April 1st, but they will all be moved by July 1st. So we are starting that transition. This is the report that's on the transparency page every month, but it has more detail. But just to give you an update, we're about 67% through the year. And this just shows you where we are with each pot of money. For instance, state, we're at like 62, local 71%. And if you look at the bottom, the grand total, we're right at 67%. So we are tracking right on track there for the year. And obviously, as you see, we get budget amendments and changes every month, basically, but we are on track. This is also on the transparency page. This is the local school finance study. It's a little bit small on the screen there, but we do have that available if anybody wants to see. There's a lot of information out there. I just pulled some of the key points. If you look at that, you can see that our total revenue for the county, the total real estate value for the county per student, we're about 46th. But if you look at total revenue per student, we're at 63. And that's just the total local revenue that the county has per student. And that's the county, not the school board. But then we're going to look at that as far as local appropriations per student. And you can see that $1,787 per student. And that's 61st. When you look at total local appropriations per student, we're at 76. And I don't know if you remember last year, but we were right at 80 last year. So we are making progress there. That changes every year as other counties change and how much they're funding, and we change. That's a moving target, but we are moving in the right direction there. Funding effort is basically looking at the total appropriations that they have as a county and how much they are allocating to us, and we're at 76 or 39 there. All right. The big thing we want to talk about tonight is our 25-26 budget. Just to give you before we start talking about it, we wanted to say that salaries and benefits make up about 81 to 85%, depending on the year, of our budget. So every time we're looking at any changes in our budget, most of the time it is going to impact some kind of salary. You can see the breakout there. And the blue on the left there is by purpose. You can see most of our expenses are on instructional services as well, with 19% being that system-wide support that keeps instructional services going. Our historical county funding, you can see this current year's funding in there. The county gave us an additional $289,000 for this year, which was 2.89% increase. And you can see the history of our percentage increases there. A couple key factors that we have this year. One is, I don't know if you guys remember, but in the ADM that we have, where we have a reduction, we are paid in arrears. So what we have currently this year is what we are funded on. It helps us in planning. We don't have those adjustments after the first 2 months of the school year. So it does help stabilize the funding. We are expecting 93 less students to be funded for 93 less this year for the 25-26 year. And then for planning allotments, we will not get those until mid-March, and that will be for select allotments, and then we will get the rest as the budget is approved. So we based our budget on a 3% salary increase and a 5% benefit increase. So to take you where we started, the current year that we're in now, we have budgeted to take $500,000 from fund balance to balance our budget. The 93 students reduction is a state impact of about $393,000. With our retirement increase, 5% with a 3% raise, that would affect us about $74,000. Local health insurance would be about $32,000, and that 3% increase for just local employees only would be $201,000. So that's a $1.2 million hit if we did not make any changes. With our allotment meetings that we had with all principals last week, we identified 5 positions to reduce through attrition. That's $375,000 worth of savings. We are looking at asking or requesting from the county a 3% increase, which would be around $308,000. If we do that, that leaves us with taking right at $500,000 out of fund balance again this year to balance that budget. And that is all of the details that I have for this, but I can answer any questions that you have. And again, this is very preliminary until we get planning allotments, but this should be a close impact for our local budget.
I had one quick question. The numbers that you showed on student allotment, is that saying that we are spending approximately $7,800 on each student per year, average?
4,200, I think it is.
You talking about this slide here? Hold on, this?
Yes.
That is, the $6,134 is how much the county generates in total revenue for everything per student. Obviously, they don't give us 100% of their revenue because
Right.
they have to fund everything else. So actually, that is what they could give us if they give us 100%. So then of that, they give us about 29% of what they receive in the county. So that $6,000 is the county's total revenue that they get per student.
Okay.
Mr. Barstow, one of the things that Suzanne did mention is there's continuous improvement from the county. Like we were at the number 80 last year, we're up to 76.
Right,
I think
right.
61 before we were lower along the line. So you're seeing both of those numbers trend up as partially because we've had some decline in ADM, which is expected in rural areas, and also because our county has funded us just a little bit more. So.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good question.
So Suzanne, the 93 expected ADM going down and the 393,470 that you saw up there, second line reduction, state impact. So if you do the math there, that's 4,230 basically is what you can expect, right? That's where I was going. Okay.
In general, yes. And that is just on the state level. We would have small impacts in other pots of money too, but we took our main, which would be your state position allotments, but that is a general impact, yes.
And can you tell everyone how you get to like the estimate of 93 fewer kids
on that?
That is the actual number of students that we had this year compared to what we had last year. So we actually went down 93 students, but this year they funded us on the previous year. And so we're going to see the impact of the 93 students that we're currently seeing in this 24-25 year we get funded on next year.
Okay.
And that just helps us smooth that budget out. It used to be that after the second month, if we went down 93 kids, they would all of a sudden reduce your funding by $393,000, and that's hard to do once school started. And so this is a great impact and a great change for us to be able to know
The
it
funding in
ahead
the
of time.
rears model is so much better for us.
So much
because
better.
It allows us a little more solid footing. You know, 100 kid swing you could have and lose $1 million just like that. So we're grateful for the state making that change. And that's one of those, if you have a chance to speak with your legislators, let them know, because that matters to us. That helps our schools have stable footing.
Before you leave, Mr. Abernathy, do you have any questions?
He's asleep. Suzanne, thank you.
Thank you.
Great as always.
Oh,
And
thank you.
congratulations,
Appreciate
well
that.
deserved.
All right, sir, next up we have Mr. Hughes. He'll be doing an update on the calendars, and that is, this is for action tonight. This is our second reading of the calendars, and I think everybody's had a chance to look those over. So, Mr. Hughes?
Good evening, members of the board. Dr. Gritt, good to see you again this month. Just want to hit each of the three calendars like we did last week. Just a couple of quick reminders. Can't have any more than 185 days or 1025 hours, 215 total working days for teachers, and each one of these calendars meets these recommendations. So you see the Eastville calendar, the first one up. Again, July the 7th, first day for teachers, July the 10th, first day for students, and they hit their first 9 weeks break in September on the 12th, and they have their three-week break then. Coming back to us on October the 7th, still got Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, all that thrown in there, and then they will hit their 3-week winter Christmas break on the 16th of December. And if you'll scroll down just a touch for me on that. Come back to us on the 6th, just like just about every other calendar does as well. You see Martin Luther King, middle of January on the 19th, and then we have work days and things, and they end up in March where everybody's spring break is going to start lining up with each calendar. Come back in April on the 7th, and you can see they have 3 work days at the end where everybody will end on the 5th. They will, and the traditional calendar will pick up on the 5th, and that's going to be your Eastville calendar. Again, it is a balanced calendar, 45 days, 45 days on, 15 days off, and the first one's out of the chute for us in early July. So that's our first calendar. We'll look at MAI, MEC next. Close behind what the calendar used to look like back in the day. They will come in on the 4th of August, pick up on the 7th with the kids. You can see the traditional days like we always go through, Labor Day. They end their first 9 weeks about the 10th of October on the 45th day. You can see November, again, the same days in November that Eastville has with Veterans Day on the 11th and 3 days for Thanksgiving, and they end up their first semester on the 19th of December. Coming back on the 6th of January, Martin Luther King again on the 19th. They will have a PD day in February where they will end their third 9 weeks, and then pick it up through April with spring break at the end of March, 1st of April, and end on the 21st of May. Several work days at the end. Again, they'll be doing some retesting like Eastfield and all the other calendars will during those work days. So that's our MAI and MEC traditional calendar. And we'll pick back up with the traditional calendar. And starting on the 14th, that's the first work day back. And just a little something about that. When we were working with the calendars, one of the questions, remember the number of days, 215. One of the committee's questions was, can we take that day on the 14th and put a work day just in there somewhere, just for example, December the 1st? Answer's no. Because if you move that one day and put it within the calendar, that puts you starting your count of 215 on the 18th. And if you go all the way to the end of the year, that's 214 days, not 215 days. The only place that 14th can go is all the way at the end. So it was still counting the 215. So that's just a little tidbit about that 14th. So that is day one for everyone. The PD days for the district are the 19th and the 20th of August. Again, go a week off Labor Day. And then we go the full month of September and all the way through October. First 9 weeks is going to end on the 24th. We get into November. Again, it's those same holidays that you've seen on all the other calendars, 11th, 26th, 27th, 28th. You see the first semester ending December, no, it is not the first semester ending, sorry. We start winter break on the 19th, come back on the 6th with everyone else, and then in January, you see the days on the 19th and the 20th. That is your first semester end. So the first semester testing is going to happen 12th through the 16th of January. Then we pick up with second semester starting on the 21st, PD day on the 13th, the half days in March, spring break picking up end of April, or end of March, 1st of April, have another half day PD day on the 8th of February, and you see that we end on the 5th, just like everybody else, and the 4 work days at the end where we will pick up with some extra testing and other things, and that's pretty much what we have on the calendars, and I would like your approval on those tonight, or a motion for approval.
Before we do that, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Hughes?
Mr. Hughes, it may be more of an Amy Dowdle question, but not really for the calendar, but as far as our teachers, we give them sick days, we give them personal days. Do we have any kind of mental health days that they're allowed? Nothing like that?
That would be included
In your sick days?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's not designated technically.
I was just
that,
asking.
but
My,
yeah.
my daughter came from Chapel Hill and said she was taking a mental health. They had a mental health day, and I'm like, I need one of those every day. So do we have that for our teachers?
3 o'clock every day.
Every day. That's right. Thank you. Appreciate it, Amy.
Mr. Allison, you being on the calendar committee, do you have anything that you'd like to add or share with the board?
I think this is going to work out the best. We looked at several different ways of doing it, but I think this is going to work out the best for everybody. And they're still getting their breaks like they always did at Christmas.
Is there anything else for Mr. Hughes? Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion to accept the calendars as presented by Mr. Hughes.
I'll make the motion. We accept the calendar as presented.
Who's
I'll
second?
second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Suttles and a second by Mr. Allison to accept the 25-26 school calendars. Is there any further discussion concerning the calendars? With no further discussion, I'll entertain a vote, and all those in favor of the motion signify by raising your right hand. And Mr. Abernathy, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm good. Aye.
Okay, all right, thank you, sir. Thank you for your presentation.
Mr. Hughes, I believe you're up next with the presentation for, this is something that the board had asked for. They had asked for a presentation on our physical education program. That falls into Mr. Hughes's wheelhouse and in his department area, so he's going to be giving us an update on that.
Deja vu all over again. Just a quick update. I don't have a presentation for it. I've got a handout coming around just with a few things on it so that you can see what's going on in the PE department and how things work there. Based on last year's numbers, students in grades K-5 get 30 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise daily, between 50 to 100 minutes with a certified PE teachers. And those numbers, they depend on how the school schedule is set up. If you've got more electives, it would be a little bit less, but everybody's going to get at least 50. At the secondary, at 6-8, they all get 30 minutes of moderate physical activity a day and around 200 minutes with a certified PE teacher. So there's stuff going on in the PE area every single day with our kids. Some standards, I just wanted to point these out to you so that you could see them. There are 4 essential standards, starting with motor skills, movement concepts, health-related fitness, and personal social responsibility. Those are what our PE teachers teach on every single day. But there are also 8 locomotor skills. They're walking, running, jumping, hopping, skipping, galloping, sliding, and leaping. Now, if you want to get Ms. Hamby going, ask her about the research for skipping and galloping and reading. It is tied 100% to how well kids read with skipping and galloping. Also, moving across the midline. I do this. I'm moving across the midline, but there are some that do this and can't move across their midline. Huge that PE works on. Moving across the midline also has a basis in reading. So just that about your locomotor concepts. There are 5 components of health-related fitness. There's body composition, flexibility, muscular strength, muscular endurance, and cardiorespiratory endurance. I was in, I would say 11 PE classes over the last couple of weeks. Saw every single one of those going on. And five fundamental manipulative skills: throwing, catching, kicking, striking, and dribbling. And so that's what goes on within our PE classes every day. Now, something that I found interesting is the word sports is not mentioned until the 4th grade. And it says in the standards, create movement and skill sequences commonly associated with various sports and activities. So you heard movement and skill sequences all going back up to that stuff that you have a handout on. 9th grade, last year PE is required, health and PE in the 9th grade. From there you can go to team sports, basketball, football, weightlifting, all kinds of stuff that you can do from there. But the last year PE is required is 9th grade. Back in the day, my day, last year it was 10th grade. I took it in the 10th grade and never took it again because I was playing a bunch of sports and doing stuff. So 9th grade's the last year that it's required. Sports units, they're done throughout the district. Every PE teacher said, yeah, I do all of this stuff within the unit. We have our outdoor disc golf unit that we're doing. Disc golf. Remember what I just said about midline? Across the midline. They have football, they have basketball, they have softball units, they have baseball units, they have soccer units that they all work on throughout the year. It's just some basic skill building that goes on from kindergarten all the way through the 9th grade. Basic skill building. I was in a school, and the guy told me, he said, all of his K2 stuff, he starts off with 5 minutes of scramble. And I was like, what's 5 minutes of scramble? And he said, we go and we do the basic locomotor skills. Because listen to what it says in kindergarten for motor skills. Execute recognizable forms of the 8 basic locomotor skills. Recognizable. Listen how it progresses to 1st grade. Execute recognizable forms of all 8 locomotor skills in different pathways, levels, or directions. So you're moving different ways, learning how to go left and right, cross your midline, skip. 2nd grade, execute combinations of locomotor skills and manipulative skills. So you can see how things progress as they go up. And every person I talked to over the past couple of weeks says it's skill building and it builds on itself every year. And you can see that right there. You know, we think about a lot of small group work in the classroom, and principals and teachers know that. They'll be sitting there nodding their heads. Yeah, we like to do small group work. Well, we do small group work too. You've got your own committees and things like that you do small group work with. And all that is enhanced in PE. Because listen to what it says in personal responsibility standards, starting in 5th grade. Use cooperation and communication skills to achieve common goals. I think we all have to do that. Listen to what it says in 6th grade. Use well-developed cooperation skills to accomplish group goals, both in cooperative and competitive situations. All of a sudden, we've thrown in cooperative and competitive. 7th grade, contrast between appropriate and inappropriate strategies. So you're starting to get more and more into it every year that you go up. 8th grade, exemplify well-developed cooperation skills. So we're not just we're using well-developed. And in the 9th grade, select the most appropriate ways. So it's huge, folks. The things that happen in a PE class, teaching the kids to go every day in a class, and we're developing personal skills along with it. The things that are done there. We got good people teaching this stuff. Good people. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Elementary PE teachers see their kids for 6 years. They know every kid in the school. As an 8th grade teacher, I saw my kids for 1. Elementary, they see them for 6. They know every kid in the school's name. Middle school, same way, they see them for 3. Sometimes it gets switched up depending on how things go with the grade levels, but they see kids a lot and they know every kid's name. And you want to talk about competitive? We have PD and we do games, oh my gosh. You talk about in your face, more smack talk than any pro football or basketball game. I mean, and Angie, you can talk to Scott about this because it's really funny to watch. They talk smack, and they are in each other's face, and they are all trying to win, and it's really a lot of fun to watch. And then I'll say, how you gonna feel tomorrow? I'm gonna be real sore tomorrow. So it's a lot of fun with really good people teaching our kids, and they're awesome, and it's just an absolute pleasure to work with them. So there's my 5 minutes, maybe 6. If you have any questions, I'll answer them to the best of my ability.
The only one I have, Mr. Hughes, is as far as at the secondary and high school levels, are our teachers and our coaches certified, Olympic certified, USA certified, NASF certified? Do they hold a certification?
I cannot answer that. I can find out. I know they're all certified PE teachers.
Oh, I know.
So, but as far as just
yeah, just that we're having an increase of injuries going on, you know, in physical education and more so in athletics, and we can blame it on natural grass and turf or basketball court, this or that or whatever else. But they're finding a lot of kids are getting hurt in the weight room. And so one of the things, and I didn't know it because I was a PE teacher at the high school several years ago, and I wasn't certified at that time.
Right.
And so I had to get my certified coach in college, and when I did, it opened my eyes to some new methods of lifting that I wasn't aware of that would have helped me save some kids if I would have been at the high school level with their backs. Probably why I can't get up in the morning either now.
Right.
But so just
understand. I don't know. I'll find out.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And I'll report back. I'll let Dr. Britt know, and he can report out to you.
Any further questions for Mr. Hughes? Thank you for the wealth of
Thank you.
information, sir.
Y'all have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. Up next, we've got an Exceptional Children's Program update from Dr. Jennifer Coymans. Dr. Coymans, we welcome you in your new role. We're excited to have you and look forward to hearing from you tonight.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Frank, Dr. Gritt, and members of the school board, and thank you for your time this evening. I'm here to provide an update on the Exceptional Children's Department, highlighting our key focus areas and the progress that we've made this school year. Our team remains deeply committed to ensuring every student receives the support they need to thrive, and we're excited to share our work with you. So this slide is going to be a representation of a snapshot of our key focus areas within the Exceptional Children's Department this year. These 5 areas work together to support our overarching goal, which is to provide every student with disabilities the opportunity to reach their full potential. And so in a moment, we're going to walk through each one of these. So to get us started, I have a slide that's going to share some data. This data drives our work in the area of behavior support and services. This data compares students with disabilities to their non-disabled peers during the 23-24 school year through February 2024 to the current 25-26 school year through February 2025. We've seen a decrease in total incidents from year to year, and so this indicates a positive trend in the overall school climate. The total incidents involving EC students decreased from 539 to 508. A notable improvement was the decrease in OSS days for EC students, dropping from 472 in 23-24 to 260 in 25-26. This is a very large improvement. This suggests that interventions and strategies implemented this year are proving effective in helping students in the learning environment. We are also seeing differences in ISS days when looking at the EC students' only totals. While this number increased, ISS is often used as an alternate to OSS, which keeps students in the educational setting. Students are provided their EC services while serving an ISS assignment. These improvements are being seen as a result of the proactive strategies such as increased staff training, collaboration between EC staff, general education teachers, and support personnel, the creation and implementation of individualized behavior intervention plans, and completing functional behavior assessments in order to identify the root cause of a student's behavior. We are committed to providing a safe and supportive learning environment for all students, and these data points indicate that we're moving in the right direction. This year, we have contracted with a board-certified behavior analysis, it's called a BCBA, who has already provided 2 professional development sessions for our staff. Sessions focused on better supporting students with autism and ADHD through aligned behavioral interventions and strategies. Additionally, NCDPI, we have a consultant, Heidi Calico from NCDPI, who has provided individual teacher coaching and resources to our self-continuum teachers. Our EC behavior support specialist, Mr. Eden, is training staff to become registered behavior technicians. This training will enhance behavioral support skills, improving student outcomes and classroom management. Additionally, we are using resources from the Teach Autism program and Affirm modules to provide teachers coaching, and Mr. Eden leads monthly professional development session with his next one being held on March 19th. I am pleased to report that in our district, we recently achieved a 100% compliance rate on all folders pulled during our internal compliance audit. IEP compliance protects the rights of students with disabilities and ensures that they receive the appropriate support and services that they're entitled to. We're prioritizing training and IEP goal alignment through thorough prior written notices, present levels of academic performance documentation, and transition planning. While we understand that compliance is essential, our focus is on ensuring that these practices are implemented effectively to maximize student learning. We're working in the EC department to strengthen our family engagement through proactive outreaches. Our successful learning station, we had a successful learning station held at the You Matter event, which showcased EC teachers and instructional strategies. We had teacher leaders on hand to answer questions, especially regarding the transition services for students moving from grade level to grade level. We're now exploring workshops, technology, and a parent advisory group to further enhance communication and ensure parents' voices are central to our decision making. This year, we have secured nearly $300,000 in grant funding, including key awards like the Risk Pool Grant and the PRC 029 Behavioral Support Grant. These grants significantly enhance resources and supports for our students. Simultaneously, we're actively recruiting highly qualified staff for our open positions, emphasizing the positive work environment and professional growth opportunities within McDowell County Schools, ensuring a strong and dedicated EC team. A key focus for us is building teacher leadership. We want our teachers to be experts. To support this, we've created a digital library with proven teaching methods, IEP help, and academic tools. 15 of our own EC teachers have already added their expertise to this resource. To make sure everyone knows about this resource, we send out weekly EC newsletters. It covers important topics like IEP compliance. Oh, I'm sorry, I went too far. It covers important topics like IEP compliance, behavior management, teaching strategies, and answers common questions. Each newsletter also highlights something new from our digital library, and the newsletter goes out to everyone in the district. We believe that every teacher in McDowell County is responsible for every student's success. So that is why we're making these resources available to everyone, so that every educator has the support that they need. We're committed to improving student success through targeted professional development. We ensure our teachers directly support, we ensure that our trainings directly support the district's strategic goals. Recently, we've focused on practical skills, so our K-8 EC teachers learn to enhance math instruction with front-loading in the Eureka Math program, and our extended content teachers had a training focused on maintaining high-quality instruction. We're also working with all teachers to create strong IEP goals that are aligned with state standards, since the goal of the IEP is to close the achievement gap by providing students specially designed instruction. By aligning our goals to state standards, we're able to ensure that our students are being provided academically and developmentally appropriate support and services. For our high school students, we're making sure that their IEP goals also prepare them for life after high school, whether that be college or a career. And to close, I want to emphasize that special education is a comprehensive system. It's not just one program. It's about personalized support from IEPs to behavioral strategies, and it takes a dedicated team. I'm incredibly grateful to our EC department. Their passion is truly inspiring. In addition, if you're wondering what you can do to further support us, we ask the board to advocate for increased funding at the local, state, and federal level, to champion inclusive learning practices in our classrooms by remembering that EC is a service, not a placement, to celebrate our successes within the community as well as within our schools, and to stay informed on special education trends. Your support ensures that we can continue to meet the needs of every student. We're committed to continuous improvement and collaboration to best serve our students. So at this time, I'm available to answer any questions.
Please ask. Yeah. Board. This has been a request for you guys, and I hope you have some questions for anybody.
Yeah, Ms. Croymans, I had one. I saw them there. One of the slides said you're looking for a high school inclusion teacher
Yes.
there. Does that inclusion teacher go with them at every subject, or
No,
just
so we
travel?
provide inclusion for math and reading, and so the
Okay.
teacher goes in to the general education classroom, and they work in a co-teaching relationship with the regular ed teacher.
Okay, as far as, say, physical education, do we provide them inclusion with that group too, I'm guessing, in a physical education setting?
Mm-mm.
Okay, one thing we did at TC Robertson, which I would like for you, if you would look into it, because in my classes, I always had them bring the EC kids in. They talked to me before it, and we included them, and it was actually my students' great, honor and great day to be a part of that, and I think it made the kids' difference too, so.
So if a child is in an extended content classroom, then the instructional assistants will go with them to PE.
Okay.
And so they have people, but if it's a student that's in an inclusion setting, that would be a student that's in general curriculum. And
Okay.
so they just have an IEP to help support them in reading or math or writing, or sometimes behaviors.
Okay.
And so their practice is what we call the least restrictive environment. So it's just immersed with their non-disabled peers as much as we can possibly do that without a person being with them.
Okay, as far as say I wanted to go to Coach Smith's team sports class
Mhm.
and take one of my kids, I could take the kid down there and just talk to Coach Smith and
Mhm.
include him in that, okay.
Yes.
Could you go over real quickly? I was a EC teacher back in the early 90s, and at that time, the paperwork was just unbelievable. And everybody is wondering why it's so difficult to find teachers. And I'll be very honest with you, I've talked to several, and it's just the paperwork, and it's overwhelming. Have they modernized this at all in the past, that it makes it a little bit more efficient for the teachers to work and not so much, just overwhelming in the paperwork department?
So one thing I can speak on is in our department, our program specialists have really stepped up in order to be able to support the EC teachers in
Oh.
that. And so we've created a lot of guidance, and tried to take on more for us. Like, for example, we have some things that we're gonna be able to take off of EC teachers' plates for next school year in order to help support them. But being a former EC teacher, I definitely am aware of the paperwork aspect. And so we're working really hard to individualize it while also providing the supports needed for the teachers.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome.
It's also, you think about it, Mr. Barstow, you bring up a good point. With some of our schools have a heavier concentration because of our specialized classes, and a lot of the paperwork goes into that IEP, and you have that IEP meeting.
Yes.
So those principals at those schools spend a lot more time in meetings, and our teachers in those schools do as well. There's a tremendous amount of more time that might be in some of our schools.
Thank you.
Ms. Corman,
Mhm.
This is not going to solve anything tonight. We're talking about legislative things, and I know that we really need that. We need to talk to legislators. What bothers me is that if I would like to think if I had an EC child and he or she is placed in, depending on their condition, placed with other students, when you talk to teachers and a teacher cries and says, she has 3 EC students that, she says, I'm not trained for this. She says, I'm working so hard. They love them. I love our teachers. Every teacher I've ever talked to, they come across to me as they love these children. And I'm a proponent for helping EC children. It's my opinion, and we won't solve it tonight, that in many cases, the EC children are not getting what they deserve. And in the meantime, when the teacher says that I'm spending so much time here with the EC children, and she's crying, she or he is crying because they have such a heart for them, but the other 18 or 20 are falling behind. When she's spending up to 3 hours a day, trying to control. And I think we're getting gypped, that the EC children are being gypped. I would like, if I had an EC child, I would hate to see that my child is holding others back while it's not getting what it deserves. And I just, like I said, this is not going to be solved tonight. We need more money. We need legislative things these children need, some EC children, and I'm not an expert in that, but, it could be in general population. I've known several that did great, but when they're violent and the teacher looks at you and says, I've had my glasses broken, I've been bitten, I've been scratched, I said, well, who paid for your glasses? And they said, well, I did, and glasses are not cheap. There's a big problem here to me. And I understand, and I've never met you, but you're doing a great job. Everybody's bragging on you. And I thank God for you. But that's my 2 cents, I guess. It's just, it hurts me for the EC children and for the other children that they're just not getting always what they need. And some, at what point do you have, when you've got some even in elementary that are so violent and it's scaring the other kids and everything, at what point do you help them by helping and help the other kids by helping them to a safer place for themselves, and when the other kids are being scared, because of this child? And honestly, I love the program. I love all the children, but that's just a concern of mine, and we need to work and pray for legislation to help all of them. So, thank you for the job you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I can, if you want me to. So we complete something called a functional behavior assessment when a child displays behaviors that may not be typical of their non-disabled peers. And that evaluation is comprehensive, and so we go in and we look at the antecedents of behavior. We call it the ABCs, and so we look at what's starting, what the behavior is, and we define it, and then we identify approaches or things that we can do to help support them, and then we complete a behavior intervention plan. And so this year, we have Mr. Eden, our program specialist for behavior, and he has been fantastic with completing behavior interventions and functional behavior assessments, and we probably completed more functional behavior assessments this year than we have in other years because the teachers are turning those in and we're able to be proactive. So hopefully we'll see through time. It's not perfect, but hopefully through time, once we continue, that process, that we'll see that will decrease. But we're committed to doing whatever we need to support all the learners, whether they're disabled or non-disabled.
On those same lines, what you're talking about and Mr. Baker was talking about, do we know out of the 500 incidents how many were physical against teachers?
I don't know that.
Okay.
What is the ratio, or who is the funding coming from for our one-on-one, or do you still have the one-on-one program?
So for one-on-ones, we have something called a risk pool grant and a special state reserve special circumstances grant that I can complete. And so for a child to be able to, for the state to fund that through that grant,
there's a rubric, and they have to be able to get at least 8 points on that rubric. And for the rubric, it means that they have to need, well, they would need services like related services beyond speech services. So OT, PT, visual services, hearing impairment, and then the state gives you plug in all their information, the state goes through the IEP, they review it, and then they say, yes, this child would receive funding, and they'll give you a portion of funding for that.
Is it very difficult to find one-on-one teachers now? It's probably difficult to find any teacher.
Depends on the situation.
I
yeah.
understand. Thank you.
I don't know if this is a question for you or for Ms. Dowdle, but where are we with our positions that were vacant in EC?
We have one EC teacher position at the high school, which is an inclusion math position. And then we have about 5 EC instructional assistant positions that are, some are at Pleasant Gardens, and then we have a couple at West Marion. However, we have had some fantastic subs that have come in to fill those IA positions, and we've been able to support them and get them the training that they would need. But they're veteran, and they've been in the classrooms, and so they're very familiar. And a lot of them are retired, like they were instructional assistants that then came back.
And as far as in the elementary schools, logging their time with their specialists, so if they're included into a typical elementary classroom, and say that the EC teacher doesn't show up for 2 times, do you have a log showing that they haven't showed up for those 2 times?
We do. So we have a service log. It's how we complete and document all of the services that we've provided and services that have missed. And so if services are missed, then we go back and provide those services.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anybody have any further on the board? Dr. Croymans, I want to say this, that this is very near and dear to the whole board, your being here tonight. And I hope that we see more of you. We'd like updates along the way, and because it is a troubling concern for us, and not trying to put you on the spot or anything, but we do appreciate the update, and we look forward throughout the year for more. Okay?
I will create as many adorable presentations as you like. I can also create you a flow chart if you would like one.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Croymans. Up next, we've got our policy. This is our first read for policy, and we've got Miss Amy Daddle. She'll be doing a presentation for you on that.
Good evening. I do have an addendum to our policy updates this evening. We received an email from our attorneys last week that they have asked us to pull back 6 of our fall policies that were actually on your original update form. So I have removed those, and I've got a new Reader's Digest version that I'm going to ask Mr. Barksdale if he doesn't care to pass around.
Thank you.
As a result, we did retract these from this policy update for the first read document. Once we receive further guidance from our attorneys and from our legal counsel, we will update and call our policy committee back to review those policies. So I did talk with Ms. Helms this morning to let her know that we received that. And so the only change from this form and the form you received in your board packet were those 6 policies. So after you get a moment to look at that, I will entertain any questions that you may have. And I don't mean to talk while you're reading, but if you can listen and read at the same time. All of our policies that are listed do have an explanation that is to the right-hand side. Most all of our policies are dictated by general statute and state legislation, and so that is included on that right-hand side of this form. And just to kind of tell you about how these policy updates get for us and for the general public is that the North Carolina School Board Association comes out with policy updates, and those updates are made based on general statute, state law, that is then disseminated to our school board attorneys who review those as well and then send us a recommendation. If it is a recommendation from our attorneys, then we meet with our policy committee, which Ms. Helms is our chairman, and we appreciate her hard work and other members of that. We review these policies, and then we bring them for first read.
Okay, do you have any further, ma'am?
No, sir.
Okay, I have further. Anybody on the board have anything for Ms. Dowdle?
Thank you.
Okay, I was privileged, and Ms. Bennett, is she here now? I think she left, maybe. Okay. Ms. Dowdle, it was brought to my attention, and a few more board members, that our cell phone policy is really working well. It's shown great improvements.
Yes, sir.
But the reason they felt like that policy was really working well was because everybody knew that they had the backing of the board,
Yes,
and
sir.
also central office as well. There were two policies that were brought to my attention that they would love for us to put the same emphasis on those, and of course they're the disrespect policy and the dress code policy. So I want to announce here in the board and tell you that the McDowell County School Board definitely stands behind teachers and all employees when they have to enforce, especially the disrespect and the dress code policies. I just want to make that a point, and for the word to get out that we will back them at whatever they need. And is there anybody on the board that'd like to make a comment on that?
Mr. Frank? Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Abernathy.
I'm sorry. I don't mean this in an ugly way, but just to put emphasis on what you said, it's what we expect of the staff. It's not just that we back it. We expect and want the administrators and teachers to be confident that on matters related to discipline and disrespect, that the board does back them. And what surprised me, and I think maybe a few others, is the degree to which we heard that it matters that the school board has this strong backing. And, we sit there and we think, well, we're up here and it really doesn't matter. But what we heard is that it made a difference with the cell phones when we put an emphasis behind it. So I just say that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I would like to say with any rules too, and this goes for, our teachers and our administration and everything else, it's important with our rules too that we have consistency. Consistency upholding those rules. With any rules, if you don't have consistency, you don't have rules. So, for example, if somebody goes to Mr. Allison's class and breaks the dress code and he's okay with it, then comes to mine and I enforce it, it doesn't do what we need to. So getting enforcement across the board and getting consistency, we'll back you 100% as long as you can show us that you're being consistent. And I think that's all we ask for, just be consistent with upholding the policies.
Ms. Dowdle, this is, I've been told by, numerous people that their children in the high school, that they're really afraid they hold their bodily functions because they're afraid to go to the restroom. Some people some guys and girls can just take it, but you know, I for one, as this board, we would like to emphasize again that we back them, and no child should be beaten down anywhere, especially in the bathroom or anything. And these children, I've been told that, you know, well, there's bullies when I was around. We had some bad ones. And I've told them before, you'll laugh, I've told them, I said, I didn't know the Lord at that time. I'd have killed you if I got away with it, you know, when I was a little kid. There's always been bullies since Cain and Abel. But these monkeys shouldn't be running the zoo. And I don't know if anybody likes that or not, but some of this bullying could be stopped. And if our teachers and principals will enforce and central office, this board will enforce it. I mean, nobody has the right to go around and make kids scared all the time. And you will never stop it all, I know that. But we need to really need to work on it and do everything, know that we're doing everything we can. And I think we are to a point, but I just like to see us really bow up against it.
On the same lines, I'd like to see us somehow to follow up when things like this happens with students who have videos of the things happening and how they're putting it on social media of the kid or the student or whatever else. To me, it should be just as punishable if you've got that on your phone and you're putting it out as you are if you were right there instigating the fight to go on itself. And that's a shame that kids are coming back from college and they've already got the video of things happening to kids in McDowell County. So I think it would be important for us to really follow through. If you hear somebody's got it, I don't know what the law says. You'll have to ask Mr. Campbell, but I'd like for us to follow up on that.
Sir, I'd like to address that. That is something we absolutely are going to take seriously every single time. If we have a situation of a student who's videotaped something, they're going to get to the bottom of it as best that they possibly can. And that's one of those that I agree. It is a punishable offense, and it is treated at a very serious level. Without getting into specifics on it, I can assure you of some situations that have happened that have been addressed both by school administration as well as law enforcement when it came to videoing an incident. And that's where I would expect that it go, because I agree, you know, when we do that, that is another level of the bully. You know, Mr. Baker, you talk about a bully, and we all may have dealt with it, but we didn't deal with it in time of technology. So it's added another layer for sure, and it's made the teachers' jobs difficult. Again, we go back to that cell phone policy and encouraging them to have those phones put up. And you know, at our middle school level, they're up during the entire course of the day. At the high school, there's a little bit more of a privilege, a little bit more of a flexibility to allow them to have them out during the course changes, and that may be something we need to look at as well as we move further into this. But just as a whole, I want to just remind folks we're seeing progress in this are, and there's a number of reasons why I think you're seeing progress. One, we've opened the Summit Academy. So we have a place for our students who are misbehaving and a place for our students who are dealing with mental health issues. So I think that has helped to be able to have a different environment for some of our kids in a smaller environment. But not everybody would have the opportunity to go during to the Summit Academy. I mean, some offenses are just that serious. It may require that the only attendance that you would have at that point would be an after-school program that we are also offering at the Summit Academy, similar to what Mr. Allison mentioned last time about having those the after-school. So some of those things that we've had, we're bringing some of those back, and I feel like our administrators are making headway on this, and it matters to have the support of the board. So I appreciate and applaud you guys for stepping up for our kids. And for our staff, and we thank you.
Mr. Frank, would it be possible just to show more support just by giving a directive to the superintendent on the record for him to carry out this for us. I know we shouldn't do it in a motion, but maybe just a directive. What do you think about that?
I would like that. Does anybody have any objection to that? I think it sends out a strong message.
Thank you.
Well, one more thing, Ms. Dowdle. When Johnny gets suspended for 5 days for cursing his teacher, and then he comes back and he's good for 2 or 3 weeks, or I assume, I'm pretty sure this happens, and he does it again, it's 5 more days, or maybe it's 10 days. And then Mama comes in and she curses the teacher, principal, or whatever, and says, "You've always had it in for my Johnny," and she's in there cursing. At what point do we have any leeway to tell Mama, "You take that brat home, he's out, she's out," or, we've got 5, 10, you can do virtual, you can do maybe Summit, maybe, but they have it at Summit too, but, the same thing. But at what point, Dr. Gritt, do we just get, they just keep getting the same thing, and Mama comes in and curses, and I'm sure they've come up here and cursed y'all. At what point do you say, that's enough?
I think that's a valid question. The way that the discipline matrix would work is, in the first instance, obviously it might be a 3-day in-school suspension or something to that level, and then it progressively grows just like anything else would. In the situation of a parent that's disrespectful using profanity in the school, typically what happens is the principal would ask them to stop, and then if they didn't ask them to stop, we'd ask them to leave with our school resource officer. So it's not something we expect for folks to tolerate. When we do ask for someone to leave with school resource officer, we have banned our parents in the past from being able to come back on school grounds. And that's one of those that becomes a school safety thing, and we take that extremely serious. And those letters flow from the principal to the parent, and then that flows directly to me. The ban letters that I will send home are sent certified mail to the parents, and it often includes includes us notifying folks, including the sheriff's department in that situation, or it could be Marion PD, depending on which school resource officer we've got. So we do have measures in place to take care of our staff in that situation, and I don't expect anybody to take a cussing. Is a better way to say.
And in addition to that, what Dr. Gritt shared as far as following the discipline matrix, if there is repeat offenders, that is depending on how many times repeat, that does lead to a disciplinary hearing, to which I sit over that with the principal and the principal at our alternative school and the assistant superintendent, Ms. Hamby. And so if that is the case, then that can be a placement in our alternative school until the end of the semester, or whatever that the disciplinary team, whatever is deemed necessary in that situation.
I don't know if we can do this or not, Dr. Gritt, but I'd like to see, once they do go to the Summit Academy, it not just be a vacation type spot for some of these kids. I took some real heat. They gave me the 9th grade repeat class, some kids that could not pass physical education in 3 years, and expected me to do something with them. So I gave them vests and we picked up trash. So I took a little heat of that, which I told them it was approved, nothing was wrong. With Helene here, there's several places to pick up trash these days. But it's amazing what picking up trash and just an idea, if you continue this behavior, you'll be doing this often, does to someone, instead of just being there and having a vacation spot to go.
I can assure you, Mr. Suttles, I've been over there at numerous times. It is absolutely not a vacation. Students are working. Anytime that you go in there, I have never seen students not engage, whether that be one-on-one with a teacher, or that they are working diligently through the online platform, but it is anything other than a vacation.
Good. Thanks.
Another thing I want to just bring to the board's attention is some conversations that I've been having as of late with our sheriff. Sheriff Buchanan obviously very involved in in student discipline, particularly when it gets to when it reaches that level. One of the things that we need support, and this is important for us to say this to the board as well, there becomes a point in time when we need DJJ to be able to support us in some of these things, and their hands are somewhat cuffed too with current laws right now. So that is a question for some of our legislators to be able to support us in, and something Sheriff Buchanan and I have been having some conversations as of late. Particularly in years past, if a student committed a certain level of crime, then they might be removed and incarcerated. At which point now those incarcerations are fewer and fewer days. Sometimes a violent offense is 3 days. They're back in the community, not necessarily back in our school, but back in the community. So I think there is an issue there that is growing for us in North Carolina, and it's probably getting some traction at this point. So as far as our board, to be able to continue to have those conversations, and folks, we're talking about a very small percentage of our student population, but it is an important percentage. And it's something, again, I commend the board for bringing this topic up and having this discussion. Thank you.
Dr. Gritt, I'd be remiss if I didn't weigh in to some extent. I witnessed an event that happened at the high school, and I think it was handled completely appropriately, and I was actually pleasantly surprised to find out that about the time I actually came forward with it, it had already been handled. I think the big message the board wants to send is we're going to back up the teachers, because what we're talking about, students being bullied, which should never occur. Teachers shouldn't feel like they have to come into the classroom under the same circumstances, and we're going to back them up. And it begins with discipline, because that is probably the majority, the lion's share of safety in the school, is coming in there and being able to learn in an environment where we want to produce functional people that can come out and get the jobs and contribute back to society and not have to go through the fear and the intimidation and all of that. And so definitely anything I can do, and I think the board itself, we're going to support the way it's going, and thank you guys for stepping up and doing what you have done. I know there's a lot that goes on that doesn't come out because of the nature of it, but things are going in the right direction, and I appreciate that. So,
Thank you. Can I ask one quick question?
Sure.
If a particular student is admitted to the Summit Academy, are they still allowed to participate in activities at the high school?
They should not be participating in sports activities or club activities at the high school when they're at the Summit Academy. So no, ma'am. And that's something we talk with the parents about when that is one of those that just doesn't, they can't go back and forth. Particularly if they've been involved in an incident that would have been with another child, they shouldn't be with that other child. And a lot of times they're going to have an order in place by DJJ that would state that they couldn't be within a certain amount of area. Yes, ma'am.
Does anybody have anything further for Ms. Diddle? Thank you very much,
Thank you,
ma'am.
sir.
We appreciate it. And I want to say this. I get the hint from the audience here. We need to take a 5-minute break. So we'll return at 8.
call us back into order, and Ms. Hamby's up next.
All right, Ms. Hamby. Ms. Hamby's going to give us information on the Summer Learning Program Plan. This is the Take Two Camp and Credit Recovery. She will be requesting action on this item. This is something that we do every year this time of the year. So take it away, Ms. Hamby.
Good evening, members of the board. This is one of the exciting times. I feel like I say that every time I get up here, but I'm always excited to share. So we're at that exciting point in planning this year's summer learning opportunities. As part of our ongoing commitment to continuous improvement, I am pleased to propose the continuation of our summer learning program that we call Take Two. This initiative is designed to provide essential support in reading and math for students who do not meet proficiency standards on the end of the year assessment. To be eligible for Take Two Camp, students who score a level 2 within 5 points of proficiency on the end of grade test will qualify to take and participate in Take Two. The camp will serve two critical purposes. It will provide targeted remediation in reading and math and help students strengthen their skills in these vital areas. And it will also offer students an opportunity to retake the end of grade or end of course assessment. We want to ensure that participation in Take Two is accessible and accommodating for all eligible students. With your support and by providing free breakfast and lunch for all of our attendees. We will also have bus transportation for those that need it, and participation is completely voluntary, as students who choose not to participate will not be penalized and will be held harmless. Now let me outline the structure of the program. To maximize comfort and familiarity, each camp will be held at the student's home school. This ensures that students can learn in an environment where they feel the most at ease. For grades 3-12, we are proposing that on June the 9th, from 8 until 11, that students will participate in ELA remediation. On June the 10th, they will take the ELA test from 8 until 11, and then they will follow that up with math remediation in the afternoon. And then on the last day, June the 11th, they will take the math reading test beginning at 8. We also have a proposed agenda for credit recovery and retest for McDowell High School, and this program will run June the 16th through June the 22nd, Monday through Thursday from 8 to 2:30. As you can imagine, for Eastville Global Magnet School, their timeline is just a little bit different as they're not on our traditional schedule. On June the 9th, the ELA remediation will take place, and then they will followed by the retest, and then on June the 10th, the math remediation will occur, followed by the math test. For our early colleges, MAI and MEC, remediation will be held May the 27th, followed by retest on May the 28th. With your approval to move forward, we will need board approval to offer Take Two Camp and credit recovery programs for the summer of 2025. Are there any questions?
Anybody have any questions for Ms. Hamby? We will entertain a motion to approve the summer learning program plan, Take Two Camp and credit recovery.
Make a motion as read.
Thank
I'll
you.
second.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Barksdale, and we have a second by Mr. Allison. Is there any further discussion on the Take Two Camp and credit recovery? With no further discussion, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. Mr. Abernathy.
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous.
Thank
very
you. I
much.
appreciate y'all so much.
Okay. All right. Next item are board reports, and Mr. Suttles, do you have anything for curriculum and instruction?
Not at this time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Barksdale with buildings and grounds.
I believe we will be addressing some issues later, and we will be explaining that.
Okay. Mr. Shuford, what about finance?
Ms. Rampy's already done a wonderful job of taking care of that. I don't have anything further to say.
You can buy her lunch.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you.
Ms. Helms, man, they threw you a curve tonight. What, anything you want to say?
No, nothing in addition to what Ms. Dowdell's already reported.
Mr. Shuford, I definitely appreciate your job over at Head Start, and I think they accepted you quite well as well. Do you have anything to report?
Yeah, I would like to thank you for that opportunity. I have really enjoyed my association with Head Start, and they've been very warm and informative. And we had a great visit out there for a tour and an opportunity to ask any questions or to make sure we understand our annual program and review and policy review. And they've made that very easy to do at our convenience. And I appreciate that so much and appreciate the hospitality and look forward to future visits.
Thank you, sir. I understand Mr. McGinnis is going to speak on behalf of NJROTC.
I'm just going to say very briefly that our unit up at the high school, they are wide open. They're winning stuff left and right. Got several events coming up. They got really good leadership, high motivation. We had the privilege of talking to them last week. Very proud of what they accomplished. You saw some of the discipline here tonight for the color guard program. We're just going to get in and back them every way we can. But they are definitely a unit to be proud of, and for their competition, look out because here they come. That's all I got.
I got one thing that the community has been asking me. Is there any way that we can stream or watch on the television Wednesday night's basketball game?
Mr. Marsh, you want to tell folks how to do that?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, it's not free, but it is the NFHS. It's an app that you can download on your telephone, NFHS. The icon will be an American flag, the blue icon, the second FHS through there. It requires you to do a one-time subscription for the month and then cancel it. But through there, you can watch any North Carolina or any national high school contest where the individual school has a camera, which is one of the wonderful things that we have done at McDowell High School. We have Pixelot and Huddle cameras that are installed, and our staff just finished doing that for our middle schools. So we do have that availability. And so to my knowledge, Winston-Salem is going to participate in that. I can tell you that I have not personally verified that, but I've been told to do so. We can try to verify that, somebody can get it out, Dr. Gritt.
Yes, sir.
I haven't personally verified, sir, that that's going to be televised.
Okay.
Mr. Marsh, do you have that app?
I do, sir.
Can we come over to your house and watch the game?
I might be Winston-Salem. There it is right there. Thank you, Mr. Berry. Your wealth of knowledge. There's what the app looks like, ladies and gentlemen, on your screen.
Android?
One thing that we might could think about doing, I'm not sure, I know it's not illegal, because we did it at our college games, you can do a Facebook Live. So anyone's at the game, if you're on I'll be honest with you, I don't mind doing it. I'll be at the game, we got our tickets, so I'll just have my phone up, Facebook page, Facebook Live, to where you can actually watch the girls' game.
That'd be
by
great.
doing that. So I don't mind doing it. Just make sure it's not illegal before I do it, because I'm on the school board.
It's only illegal once you get caught.
Mr. Suttle, but very generous, but I don't know how to verify that. I know the high school has done that in the past.
Yeah.
For regular games, but I don't know how NCHSAA would look at it on that.
You know, I can follow up with Q Tucker. I'll call Q and ask her if there's a problem with that.
Thank you.
Does anybody have anything else for the board? Okay, item number 12 on the agenda is approval of the consent agenda. And any item may be pulled from the consent agenda with the majority vote of the board and discussed and voted on as a separate item. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Baker and a second by Mr. McGinnis to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion on the approval of the consent agenda? All those in favor signify by raising your right hand.
Aye.
Okay, so that's a unanimous vote of 9. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I'll make that motion to go into closed session, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Okay, let me say this. Let me give the reasons that we're going in there. Under subsection A1, to prevent the disclosure of privileged or confidential student information pursuant to 20 U.S.C. 1232G, FERPA, and GS 115C 402E, includes student discipline and student transfers releases. Under subsection A1, to prevent disclosure of privileged or confidential personnel information pursuant to GS 115C 319-321, includes employee matters. And under subsection A5, to discuss the acquisition of real property. And under subsection A5, to discuss the terms of a contract for employment, includes discussing contract terms for new employees. Okay, with that information presented, is there any further discussion? I'm going into closed session from the board. Okay, at this time, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor signify by raising your right hand. And Mr. Abernathy?
Aye.
Okay, that's a unanimous vote at 8:14 p.m. Yes. Mr. Barksdale, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm going to close session.